Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eric Coffin. I'm speaking to you from the May 2025 Metals Investor Forum. It's May 9th. We're in Vancouver. I'm here with the chairman, I guess. Is chairman your official title? Al Kroontje from San Lorenzo Gold. San Lorenzo trades on the venture with the symbol SLG. This is a company that I've owned for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now. And I own more of it now than I did, considerably more actually. I'm a big fan of this company. I mean, I'm a big fan of Al. Terry, who's the VP Exploration. Both of them are basically founders, and collectively they own a lot of stock. Al also has lent the company significant amount of money so that they didn't have to do cheap financings. But this is a company I really like the guys behind it. I love the project. It was shocking to me that this company wasn't getting more love from the market. They've got quite a bit more love recently. The last drill program they did on 2 different targets, they generated really good results on both of them. And honestly, if you go back and look, San Lorenzo over the past several years, they've done a bunch of small drill programs. There's very, very few bad holes. I mean, they cut good intercepts on 4 different targets, pretty much every hole. Like it's a really impressive project. This is a company that really should get a lot more attention. It got a lot more love after the last drill program. They're doing the work they need to do now, some geophysics, and then they'll do the next drill program. So, I mean, this is one you definitely need to be paying attention to. And honestly, you should probably own it before this next drill program starts, because based on recent history, odds of these guys pulling good intercepts are actually quite high, because they've rarely missed with drilling in the past. So with that little introduction, Al, can you sort of bring us up to date on what's going on right now?
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Eric. We have started IP on Arcodoro, extending to the northwest of where we recently drilled and had a great intercept. We are also doing infill IP at Cerro Blanco, where we have only 2 IP lines right now. So we're doing an infill line and one to the north and one to the south. And then also we're infilling a hole that we had in that northern line because of terrain. Right. So it's proceeding quite well.
Yeah, and just to give you an idea, and this is, Cerro Blanco. I mean, I love Arcodoro. I mean, and for me, I'm going to make a forward-looking statement. He can't. I think it's a laydown at Arcodoro is 1 million ounces, a high grade. Like none of these holes have missed. Every one of them's got a good high grade intercept. I think the average, and this is along a kilometer of strike, and the deepest hole is 300 meters. I believe the average, I mean, there's basically broader intercepts with high grades within them, a high grade core. And if you just look at the high grade core, I think the average of all the holes so far is something in the order of, what is it, 2 meters? It's more than 2 meters.
Yeah, it's 2.5 meter is where we cut it off, right. And the strike length is 1 kilometer down to 300 meters. The average is 17.69 grams per ton. So yeah, very significant, over half an ounce.
It's really impressive. I mean, obviously, like any vein deposit, I mean, actually proving a tonnage in a vein deposit takes a lot of holes. So, I mean, obviously that's a forward-looking statement. I'm not going to do the math for you, but you can do it. The number's impressive already, quite honestly. But I think the target that arguably got the most attention and sort of took these guys from being a 7-cent stock to being a 40-cent stock very, very quickly. They're back at around 25 now. Is this Cerro Blanco, and I think in part because the drill program you guys just did is the first drilling anyone's ever done on the target. So it's a true discovery hole. You want to sort of tell us about that one?
Well, sure. The reason we didn't drill it, Eric, is because we had to get access road into it. It was about 7 kilometers, but we've wanted to drill it for a long time. It's a target underneath the leach cap that is evident from the valley floor in the riverbed north of the property. So we did complete that access road and drilled 3 widely spaced holes. They are about 500 meters apart each to test the system. And as you know, we got some really great results. The first one returned us over 150 meters of 1.04, but over 1 gram of gold in porphyry style mineralization, alteration mineralization. And what was interesting is it continued to depth. So,
Yeah.
of course, looking backwards, you can always say we should have gone deeper, but we'll be looking at that in this next program. And also, I think you may recall that the style of alteration started changing as we went to depth, and copper values started to increase. So it's an interesting target. We're very pleased with the results, and look forward to getting the results of this IP that will be done by the end of May, with a view to targeting a few more holes
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's another great target. I mean, Cerro Blanco is a big target. The surface expression of it is what's called a lithocap, which is basically an alteration zone. By and large, those alteration zones don't have a lot of mineralization, although there are a few spots at Cerro Blanco where there's some good numbers where the stuff is basically poked up through the lithocap. But that's a classic alteration zone you see above a porphyry system. They drill these holes 150 meters of a gram in what looks like it's sort of the upper reaches of the system. You're not in the porphyry intrusion. You're sort of above the porphyry intrusion, and basically the heat and the mineralization of that system has sort of gone up into the overlying rocks. That's what this holes ended up testing. I mean, obviously it's gold, so you don't know until you get assays back. So they didn't know they had mineralization to the bottom hole until the assays came back. But just you look at a classic porphyry model, it's a really, really obvious target to drill to depth. Although, as far as I'm concerned, those guys can drill a bunch of 150 meters of a gram hole. I'm a happy camper. I mean, it'd be nice to find the porphyry, but that'll be just fine by itself. But your odds of finding a porphyry, which is where the copper is going to be, are pretty good. I mean, the model is classic. This thing fits the model perfectly. Great target. And Caballo Muerto, which I guess, they drilled this, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. That's when I first got interested in it. That's another porphyry target. And your initial drilling there was no slouch either.
No, we got some really great numbers there. If you recall, 112 meters of a 1.44 gram in porphyry style mineralization as well. And if you may recall that we offset that with some holes, and they had really encouraging results as well. So yes, it's a different target located about 4 kilometers away from Cerro Blanco that we just talked about, but it's very interesting as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and the last target that sort of we've got time to talk about, we won't spend a lot of time on it, but target called Tres Amigos. The drilling these guys have done, it's reported up to, I think it's like 30 something meters of a 1.5% copper with a bit of gold. I mean, it's kind of a different one. Like it's, Terry tells them like, no, it's a classic epithermal system, but instead of being gold rich or silver rich, it's copper rich. And there's a lot of very high grade intercepts, and some of the locals have actually mined parts of this system quite recently, actually. And these guys are mining very, very high grade stuff. I mean, several meters of 5-10% copper. And again, this is a totally separate target. I mean, Salvador is just, I can't overemphasize how good a project it is. I mean, any one of these 5 targets these guys have, most companies would be delirious to have a target that good. They've got 5 targets on this project, and they're all that good. It's very, very impressive. I'm really excited to see what the IP shows, which that should be back like pretty soon. I mean, those guys are working their way through it fairly quickly, I think.
They are. They've been there for about 2 weeks now, and we expect another 3 weeks, so towards the end of May. But you're right, we get pseudosections from them. I'm sorry, Terry Walker does. And he reviews them, and of course it's a collating and putting it all together to see the picture to the extent possible, right, Eric? So, jumping the gun until we have the best picture possible would not be wise. And I would remind you that one of the strongest IP anomalies was on the east end of that northern line, which we have an interruption in because of terrain, but we really are excited to get that filled in and see if it does bear drilling, which we're hopeful of.
Yeah, and one thing I'll point out here is, Terry, the VP exploration, I mean, he would tell you if you ask him that he's extremely happy at just how well IP has worked. It's been an extremely good indicator on this property. Chargeability anomalies are mineralized, and by and large, they've got economic mineralization in them somewhere. So although the market usually doesn't get that excited about IP, I'm really looking forward to seeing this, because based on past history, if they've got new IP anomalies, that means they've got new targets, and the odds of being mineralized are quite high. And this, the anomaly, Terry, it's not closed off. That's one reason. I think you got to do a little bit of road building there too. I think it's another one. But that's sort of that's the strongest chargeability anomaly. They haven't even drilled that yet. That's I'm pretty sure 99% it's going to be part of the next drill program. So I mean, there's a lot to look forward to this. I mean, I'm a fairly large shareholder, and I'm probably going to be larger before it's all said and done. It's a great company, great group of guys, and a fantastic project in a good jurisdiction. Chile is a really good place to be. And one of the drawbacks of Chile is quite often the deals are quite expensive. But one of the huge advantages these guys have is, Terry is a local, and they staked all these projects. So they don't, these aren't projects where there's NSRs and $10 million in payments and all that kind of stuff. All the stuff that they have, they own 100%. Great story. San Lorenzo Gold, SLG on the venture. Thanks for coming by, Al.
Thank you very much.